I'm Elliot Gerson with the Aspen Institute, and I'm here with Supreme Court Justice Anthony Kennedy, and we are going to be discussing liberty and the Constitution. Justice Kennedy, how did the Founding Fathers view the right to privacy and the concept of personal autonomy? Of course, the Fourth Amendment prohibits the government from engaging in unreasonable searches and seizures of people's homes. How else does the Constitution protect privacy and liberty?
The right to privacy as such is not spelled out in the Constitution. Of course, the word liberty is. The reason the framers used the word liberty is that it has a spacious meaning, and its true meaning becomes apparent to us over time. The framers were very concerned with writs of assistance in which soldiers could come breaking into your home. And your home is ultimately your sanctuary where you define yourself and where you have freedom to do what you want. Freedom is the absence of government control. Government always wants to control your life, and you need protections against that so it does not succeed.
You are perhaps the strongest advocate on the Supreme Court for the importance of personal autonomy. You believe the government should not coerce individuals into a predetermined course of life. Why do you feel so strongly about personal autonomy?
Freedom is what our Constitution stands for. And certainly one of the essential meanings of freedom is that you define who you are by what you read, by what music you like, by what you sing, by who you choose to be members of your family and your friends. The whole point of the Constitution is that it protects a human life, a human person. That's why we have it. Constitutions don't belong to governments, they belong to you, and they're to protect you.
You are the Supreme Court's leading advocate for constitutional liberty. One author wrote a book about you called The Tie Goes to Liberty. Why do you believe the Constitution's protections for liberty are so important?
Again, as I've indicated, liberty has a meaning that becomes apparent to us over time, and there are new ways that we have to protect liberty. What the framers thought about most were the idea that we talked about earlier, your home, your space, your physical space that they cannot invade. But autonomy also means your own dignity, your own self-definition, your own idea of the person that you are. So liberty has both a spatial and a more transcendent dimension.
Why is it so important for judges to preserve constitutional liberty in the face of legislative assaults?
Once again, government is always going to want to plan your destiny for you. A majority will always want a minority to conform. Majorities have legislatures, so we need a check. You've heard about checks and balances, separation of powers. I could go into this a little more. They have a really slightly different meaning. But separation of powers is designed so that you, a person, can go to court if the legislature infringes upon your rights. Let me give you a case, if I have just a minute. There's a wonderful case that came to our court from the state of New Hampshire. New Hampshire has a motto which is live, free, or die. A wonderful motto. And I like that motto. You have to sometimes defend freedom with your life. And it was on the license plate. So if you're in New Hampshire, you bought a license plate, the state motto was on it. A driver didn't like this idea. He didn't like to have to carry the state's message, so he put duct tape over the slogan. You could see his license number and you could see state number, but you couldn't see the slogan. And a police officer stopped him and gave him a $25 ticket for obscuring the state's license plate. A $25 case came to the Supreme Court of the United States, and we said the citizen was right. He did not have to carry the state's message. The state can have its own message. It can't have the individual carry it for him. I teach in China. Ask yourself in your studies, if you taught in China, if you had an hour with students your age, what would you tell them about America? What cases would you bring them? Would you bring them the Constitution to read? Would you bring them the Declaration of Independence? Would you read the preamble of the Constitution to them? It's beautiful. Would you read the preamble of the Declaration to them? It's magnificent. One of the things I bring is the license plate case. They're fascinated with cars in China, and it's a great case to show that there must be limits where the government stops and your personhood begins.
How can we protect constitutional liberty in an age of new technologies?
One reason it's very difficult is it's changing so fast. Many scientists, many thinkers say that we're just seeing the beginning of what the internet means. An iPad is not good or bad in itself, just like this pen isn't good or bad in itself. It's a thing, but it can be used for a good purpose or a bad purpose. And we have to understand, as a nation, that we have to talk about ethics and decency and privacy and honor and respect, so that in this age where we have this wonderful new communication system, we can use it for the good things, not for the bad. My grandson was going to play a game on the internet, and it's going to take an hour and a half. We were babysitting, and his parents had told us that on this one day, Thursday night, he could play the game for an hour and a half. And he had those earphones, and other kids were on the line, and they'd say, "Now, McLeod, Phil's on your side. Phil's going to be on your team." And they said, "Now, Phil, you've got to protect McLeod in case he gets captured." And they had a wonderful time. And everybody said, "Goodbye, goodbye, McLeod, goodbye, George, goodbye, Phil." And I asked McLeod, I said, "Are you going to see Phil in school tomorrow?" I said, "No, he lives in Singapore." This is your age. Young people are connected worldwide in a way which is unimaginable just a decade ago. And you can use this for good. You can use this to teach freedom, to defend freedom.
What, Mr. Justice, do you think is most important for people to know about the U.S. Constitution?
I might think about something else after this interview, but for now I would say the most important thing to remember about the Constitution is that it's yours. It's not mine, doesn't belong to a bunch of judges and attorneys. What are the first three words in the Constitution? We the people. It's your Constitution. And you have to remember that as an American you have certain duties. You don't just live your own life and not care about what happens to your country, about what happens to your children. Your duty is to make sure that that Constitution is strong, so that it's yours now, and it will be your children's later, and that it will be stronger when it's theirs than it is now.
Mr. Justice, thank you very much.
Thank you.